Oh yes, things have taken a turn, boys and girls. Anyway, I sealed up the main oil galley plug. That is not leaking, but I just went to check the Z, and there was a little splash of oil on the cardboard, and the culprit is this. It's not actually leaking out of the seal where the rod of roddage goes. It's this crack there. I had a quick look on Kawasaki .co.uk and all that bullshit, and a brand new cover. Bear in mind, it doesn't come with the window, it doesn't come with the seals, the roller bearings, it doesn't come with the sound deadening plates inside. Let's see, can I show you those? Yes. Which are those? Doesn't come with any of those. That's 200 quid. And I presume that's already in stock. So could somebody please explain to me why there were several sellers on eBay from Japan, and I can get a brand new one of these from Japan, delivered, genuine part, for 140. Why is the UK part £60 more expensive, not including delivery? Wiggly gesture. Anyway, I've been on some foreskins and all that forums, and the basic consensus is, if I can just, that crack is worse than what it looks. There's a story there, boys and girls. Jim, don't even go there. Don't even go there. Yeah, a little growler. Anyway, that mechanical seal that was in there, I don't know till I re-look at footage or anything like that whether that crack was already there and the mechanical seal, the metal one, was put in to stop it leaking, which didn't work because it was leaking, or whether that cracked when the mechanical seal, because you have to press those in. This push bit, I could push it in with my finger res. So I'm wondering, when it was pressed in, it cracked the casing. Now, the general consensus on the forums is, because there isn't a great, there's really no load or anything on these covers, they just have to be oil tight, is that if I can just rough that up a little bit gently with the Dremel, and I mean gently, I might even just use some coarse grade sandpaper, is bung some JB Weld in there. The seal is okay, and I don't really want to be effing about with that, because that's fine. But just put some JB Weld in it, and somebody said if you just heat it with a heat gun just enough so you can just about touch it, it will just spread the crack enough to get a bit of JB in there, and then, you know, leave it for at least a day for it to harden properly. Also, the consensus was the original Kawasaki gaskets, paper gaskets, are shite. They leak if you don't use a sealer on them as well. I don't know if that's true. There was evidence of oil coming through the gasket, but that's normal with a paper gasket. Normally it does soak up a bit of oil and then it will stop. You know, it won't leak. Whether the oil just swells it a little bit, we have no idea. But anyway, the general consensus is that you must use a sealer with the paper gasket. So I've got my aviation gasket goo shit. So I'm going to be giving that a go, but I've ordered the gasket, I've ordered some JB Weld, that should all be here by the weekend, fingers crossed, because obviously, you know, Spurt is now out of action, but it's got to be done. I can't risk it losing that much oil, because obviously it was starting to get on the back tyre, and that's not good, because you'll be going around a right hand bend and all of a sudden it'll be you know, sky trees, ambulance, and that's not good. So yeah, but the original gasket, bear in mind I covered that gasket in white grease. I always do this with paper gaskets because it makes him get them off easier and what have you, and they don't damage the cells. Did it with all the Suzuki ones, they were all fine. As soon as I took this cover off and gentling was in progress, it just ripped the gasket, just tore it to bits. So yeah, Kawasaki gaskets, shit. So I've ordered a third party one because it's got to be better than the original. It's not often you can say that, but yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm waiting for the JB weld, and can you see my crack? I'm going to get some around there and see how we do. Yes, I mean, I do love to tinker, but I also do really love it when there's no problems. You know what I mean? It's like, give it a fucking break.
Day 2.
I can't close the door because the top box is there, and I couldn't get to the bin the other day, so all the shit's there. Anyway, I've had a few deliveries. It is now the next day. It's now Friday, 8 o'clock in the evening. I've been to work this morning, and then I've had to do stuff this afternoon, and shit. But I've started on the casing. I've got the seal out, and that's sat up there. I'm not sure whether that was an original seal, because all this stuff come from Moto. The gasket was genuine Kawasaki. The seal come in its own little plaggy bag with a part number on it, so that could be a third party, I don't know. Hand gestures. But anyway, JB Weld's come, and the gasket's come, that's up there, and something else. Oh yes, I've got some, I'm running out of some nuts and bolts, and I've ordered the wrong fucking sizes, but there are a few there that are really handy. Some of them are a bit small, but there's a few in there that are nice, and I could try to bought 2 boxes, but they weren't that expensive, so that's good. Anyway, further investigation earlier today revealed that I thought the bottom of this seal, let's see if I can show you, that's sort of engine side as it goes in, but that, bear in mind that is brand new and it's only been on the bike, I don't know how many miles I did. I think I only used it once and noticed it was leaking again, so it might have just been work, so 25 miles, I don't know, can't remember. But I thought there was a tiny little bit of damage on it, and I couldn't really figure it out because it's not a super tight fit. You have to give it a good in, but you don't need a socket to punch it in or anything like that. And then I noticed, which I hadn't noticed before, because you know when you're like sort of tracking a problem down, you sort of get, once you get a bit of evidence, you sort of focus just on that bit, like the oil galley and stuff like that. And I knew that seal was leaking, so obviously replaced the seal. And that's been all right. It is actually weeping out the crack. But the really funny thing is, when I replaced all the seals, I had the bike on centre stand, I ran it up to pressure, all this lot, ran it so it got oil pressure, and nothing leaked. And then I looked at it sort of the next day, nothing leaked. And then when I went to use it the other day to go to work, I found a little puddle of oil, and I thought, right, okay, it's going to be parked up, we need a proper look at this. And anyway, I have found evidence. I know that bike has been on its side, probably each side, probably more than once, but there's no evidence of any high speed accident damage or anything like that, or grinding. But what I did notice, I don't know whether the cam's going to pick it up, but yes, tell me what you see, boys and girls. Yeah, that is damaged. I'm just going to put the camera down because I need to do a show and tell. It's like having the television back at school, isn't it? Yes, you knew you were in for a good lesson. Right, hopefully you can see. Basically, that should be uniformly round. And it's hit the deck. It's disfigured it, and it's pushed part of the plate up. Unfortunately, that can, because there's play in the rod, that can hit the seal, and that's a really rough edge. So hopefully that makes sense. That's been touching the seal, and that probably accounts for why I thought it looked a little bit damaged. When you pull the clutch in, obviously this has a slight bit of up and down movement, up and down. Let's do that again, children, shall we? Come on, play along. Up and down. We like it when our shaft goes up and down, don't we, boys and girls? Jim, shut the fuck up. Anyway, you can see that this is the original seal. You can see where it's rubbed its coating off and stuff like that. There are no physical ridges that I can really feel. That one you can, the M1, a little bit, but it's not too bad. But as you can see, there is a bit of wear. This is the little pawl that goes on the clutch rod arm that's in the centre of the clutch, and basically it clips behind it, and then when you pull the clutch in, it goes and pulls the rod out and splits the clutch. It does that very nicely, but there is, by the looks of it, a bit of wear on that. You don't feel it in the lever or anything like that, but I had a look for a new one because I could smooth that down, but by smoothing it down, I've got to be careful I don't weaken it. I don't think it would, to be honest, but these are about 47 quid, brand new, so I've ordered a new one. Yes, that's repairable, but you know, there is a bit of wear there, so I thought, well, for 50 quid I'll order one. I've also ordered from Kawasaki, which is Cradley Heath Kawasaki, which is the biggest UK Kawasaki parts supplier. I've used them for decades, and I used to go, when I used to put the bike shop to hang out and all that lot, I used to go on occasion to Cradley Heath on my bike for them to collect parts that they sort of needed immediately. I can well remember, I think there was a ZXR 750 in or something for some work. I think it was gearbox work or something like that. And the parts that they supplied were wrong, and it turned out one of the parts was superseded. So I had to do a mercy mission straight up to Cradley Heath and get this part, which I enjoyed thoroughly. So yes, I've got the original Kawasaki seal as well, and what I'll do when it comes, I shall just double check. I shall take a photo of the top of this because I cannot read those numbers, but if I take a photo and zoom it up, I can read them, and we'll just see if it's matching numbers. That's going to be a Kawasaki part. But yeah, there's a tiny bit of deformity on the lip. James, don't make a joke of that. Don't. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to replace the seal as well, and then in the morning or at some point, because I've got stuff on this weekend, I'm going to get some JB weld in there, and I may, when the new seal comes, just put a tiny little smear on the edge of the seal, so when it goes in, there's JB weld this side as well. Obviously not too much, because that will set rock hard. That'll set harder than a teenager with his first wank mag. And then I am going to completely leave it for a day, at least overnight minimum, because the cure time is actually 15 to 24 hours. So if I can leave that, if I do that first thing in the morning, leave it all a Saturday, it's then, I mean, I could just put all this together and it'd be okay, because you can, with the bottom fairing removed, you can actually remove this shaft. Take the cable off, you can actually pull this shaft through. This cover doesn't have to be off the bike. You can do it. You can wiggle it in, because that, in its orientation, it sits like that. So the pawl is there, And what you can do is you can slide it in like that, and then turn it, and that will engage with the what's it. So you can actually do it on the bike, or do a wait till early next week for the new parts, and then just put all the new parts on and do it that way. I've got some gasket preparation to do on the bike. The mating face is on the bike because, as I've just said, the original gasket it fucked apart. So yes, hopefully that other one will be alright. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my liquid aircraft gasket maker on both sides of that gasket, and then I've just got a double insurance policy then. Nice. And I might just have a go at trying to get that bolt out in the engine cases. I think it would be good practice to try and get it out. Start with thin drills and then try and get a lefty in, see if a lefty will do it. But I think why it's done it is because this is aluminium and the engine cases are aluminium, the bolts are steel, and even though they're plated, over time they will try and fuse together. But these bolts were well tight the first time I did it. So that's where we are now. On to day 3.
Day 3.
Is that better, ladies and gentlemen? Don't really need the heater plugged in at the moment. Right, it's day 3, Saturday. It's around 12:30. And I got up this morning and I felt a bit rough, but I did get wet yesterday on the bike. And I think I might have just caught a bit of a chill because my little tummy is off. That's not a little tummy, Jim. That's a fat cunt's tummy. So yes, I felt a bit off. I've been out and about doing stuff, and then I'm back. But what I have done is I've JB welded the crack, and I only used a little bit, and I put a tiny little bit inside because when it's set out, I can then profile it. And I use the correct mixing tool, a small Allen key. This is very important. Anyway, today's snack of choice, Bounty Bar. Other chocolate bars are available, but I like Bounty Bar. Today's beverage of choice, milkshake, because they were 2 for £3, bargain. Love a milkshake. Milkshakes are very, very good for your health. If you buy me one, I won't punch you. So with JB welded it, it's a typical dog's arse job, because I'm doing it. Doesn't matter if it's rough at the minute, because when it sets, it can all be sanded and all that lot. The goal was to seal that crack. What I did, I sanded the case with a little bit of sandpaper, and I dremelled it with a wire wheel as well. And I then heated it up a tiny bit, and what that does, you can actually see it doing it, is it will open the crack very, very slightly. And then oil and gunk that's in it comes out, if you see what I mean. Then you can wipe it off and do that. So that's part 1, that's done. So it's now about 12:30, 1 o'clock. I'm going to leave it 24 hours, and then that should be hard enough to profile and sand. Flatulence, my little belly's been off this morning. Yes, as I said. Anyway, part 2, I'm now going to take you outside to the shed. The other shed. The big shed. I don't know which one you mean.
A few moments later.
So, stuffing me gob was Bounty. So, it's very unprofessional, but I'm going to be eating while I'm talking. Anyway, so when I got in, I've tried to drill that bolt out that snapped, and I used me nice posh Bosch, hello Bosch, high speed steel drills and all this, like they have pissed through bolts before in the past. That one, get off you flying bastard. Sorry, I was being bugged by a gnat or something. It wouldn't even touch it. Put a cone in the end of the bolt and then nothing. It got so far, a couple of mil in, nothing. Nothing at all. So I tried chiseling it out, won't move. I don't want to heat the cases up because the fuel pump's right there, and I just don't want to risk naked flame anywhere near it, for obvious reasons. I've got a little heat gun I could have used, but to be honest, I don't think it would have touched it. I wailed on it with the chisel. It ain't budging. So, discretion being the better part of cowardice, I'm leaving it be. I'll just put a dab of shit around it. I got the gasket come, and it's from, oh god, I can't remember. I think it's Stowe Performance, Stowe in Stourbridge, and they're a scooter shop actually. But there's gasket that they've supplied a way better fit than the original Kawasaki one. These lines, you wanker, these holes line up. Where on the Kawasaki one, I'm not kidding you, these were like 4 or 5 mil down. Now I know the early ZZRs, the Ds, I think they had a slightly different cover, slightly different engine. This was pretty much an all new engine for the E. Had a lot of revisions. The light in the valve train, they did loads. So it might have been, even though I ordered a gasket for a Model E, it might have been a D1 by mistake, don't know. Anyway, it was shit, because it torn apart, and it was shit. Anyway, this one fits a lot better, and it's blue, and we all know that blue makes things better. Yes, as long as red is faster, blue is better. So anyway, the gasket's on. I've just hung it on the dowels just to stop it getting damaged in, because knowing my luck, I'll be in the shed frigging about, and something will fall on it, or usually what I do, I'm a twat for it. I'll take them out of the packaging and I'll hang them on a nail. And of course, when you come to get it, you pull it off the nail and you rip the gasket, or at least some twat does, don't the Jim? Yes. And a little tip for the cable of Clutchingtons: if you're doing your clutch and all this lot, you could, in theory, leave the cable attached and just put the cover on rest it on something like the wife's best cushion or something like that. But how I found out it was easier to get that little nipple out the clutch arm was I actually undid the perch. That's the bracket there, and that sits up there. That sits there. And I undid the perch. I backed the nut off like I normally would. So I just backed that one nut off. But then I undid the perch, and then I could get the wigglage on it to get the nipple out without having to grab it with pliers and shit like that. So I found that loads easier, and that's how I shall reattach it. I shall reattach it to the cover, because it's loosey-goosey, it won't have any influence on it. That was the aircraft sealer I've put round the oil galley. It looks wet. It sort of permanently looks wet. The stuff that's been on the Aprilia for months and months and months still looks wet. But it does the job, and it hasn't leaked. So that's it for now. What I am going to do is, obviously I've got to wait for the cover, but as I said yesterday, I've got the Kawasaki seal coming, and I've got the Kawasaki clutch rod coming, super rod. So I think I'm just going to sort of bite my nails and wait for the new parts and fit the new parts, because you know what I'm going to do, don't you? Because I'm impatient. As soon as that JB Well's dried, I'm going to stick the old seal in, I'm going to stick the old clutch rod in, I'm going to go, there you go, it's cured, and I'll never touch it again. So no, I'm going to be a good boy, and I'm going to wait for the parts. In other news, Phyllis is out there. I really do need to crack on with Charlie. I just can't be arsed. Really can't be arsed. I can't be arsed doing... It's technically not somebody else's job, but you know what I mean. It's... Last time I couldn't get it, it was hanging, the idler was hanging really high, and it turns out, after some quick investigation, a couple of the chokes were hanging open, and hopefully I've sorted that out now. But and I've obviously cleaned the fuel tap out and all this lot. It's not had any fuel in it since. What I did, I put a tiny little cup of light oil in there and swished it around the tank, just to sort of seal it against flash corrosion and stuff like that. But Phyllis, that exhaust pot on Phyllis, it looks great, but I rode to work at like R4 and R5 in the morning the other morning, and with earplugs in, and didn't actually realise how fucking loud it is. It's louder than the other one. But yeah, let's turn around, Jim, and try not to stress your bottom too much, otherwise you might have an accident. I put a removable baffle in this one, and it is a universal one, and I'm going to see if I can fit it or get one to fit that exhaust, because it is fucking loud. I mean, you know, I moan about the lads riding through the village with their fucking fart bang exhaust and all this lot. I was just as bad. Coming through the villages down the fen lanes the other day, I did not realise, honestly, how effing loud that is. And I ain't happy with it, because I want to use it for commuting, and, you know, because I do shift patterns. They're not always sociable hours, so I'd like it a bit quieter. Either that, or my other plan was, when I've got some pennies, is probably buy something like an original Cub exhaust, or a knockoff Super Cub exhaust, or Honda Innova exhaust. Probably even see if I can get a Honda Wave exhaust, because I think one of those was fuel injected. I can't remember which one, because I need the nut on top of the exhaust for the O2 sensor, because obviously that's all tied in with the fuel oleum injectors. So yes, anyway, that's what's going off, because it's going to be a couple of days for those parts to arrive. Ordered them last night, Friday night, so they ain't going to be here till next week. And Cradle Heath are usually shit hot. They're usually like sort of the next day, but come on, I ordered them at like 8-9 o'clock at night, so they ain't going to be here today, definitely not. I might wrap this bit of the video up here. Yes, looking at the clutch and my reflection. God, you sexy bastard. You are a dishy fucker, you are. Anyway, yes, so I might wrap this one up here, and then when the new parts come, English Jim, you know, you are reasonably good at it, try and fucking use it. I might just carry on the video with the new parts and see how I get on, and then at least today I've knocked a video out. Yes, I think I'll do that. Oh, by the way, you know, I'm not missing Facebook at all. I've got into jigsaws. Sad, I know, but I've got some shit going on in the background, and I need to concentrate on it. So when I'm on that, I don't need any distractions. I don't look at my phone or anything like that. So yes, we shall see. So I might wrap that one up here. Yes, Jim, wrap the video up. Say goodbye to the people. Oh, goodbye, people, and thank you very, very much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And thank you to all the new people that have commented on some of the older videos and stuff like that. Good to have you on board. There will be, as you've probably noticed on the headers for YouTube, I've changed the logo. And what I intend to do when I have the free time is I'm going to update the t-shirts and stuff like that with the new logo, get rid of a load of the old stuff like the Rover and stuff like that, just get rid of it, and just concentrate on having my logo on stuff, because I own that is copyrighted. Get you, posh comment. So yes, but that's all in the future, so we shall see. So the original Shoestring Shed logo merchandise will, if you go to an Antiques Roadshow, will be worth millions, absolutely millions. Actual values may decrease, no guarantees given. Right, I'm off, bye bye. There is now a baffle in Phyllis, and it's a lot better. Still a little bit fruity, but not cuntish. Yes.